What's up everyone and welcome back to our Top Plays Teamwork Edition episode number 2, and this time we're going to shift from random teamwork plays like our last episode into a more specific theme, which is how you as an individual player can make choices that may not benefit you directly but instead have your team in mind. So without further ado, let's jump into our first play, and right off the bat we see two things. One, it's late game, and two, Zed gets caught with an Ashe Arrow, and with the extremely long death timer, blue team looks to push down middle and end this game. Ezreal, who is floating in the jungle, is stuck with a really hard decision. Do I backdoor, or do I regroup mid to attempt the 4v5? Confident in his team, he decides to head for the enemy base. As blue team advances, they aren't too sure on whether Ezreal is heading to their base or recalling in the jungle. Either way, they at least want the inhib, so they press on. Ezreal's team can't fight the 3v5, so they come up with a plan to compensate for his absence. Ezreal fires off his ultimate towards the enemy team, and although he could have saved it, this helps his team out tremendously in more ways than one. Because of the direction it came from, he purposely shows them that he plans on backdooring, as we can see from the yellow line. It also killed most of the creeps they were using to push, so it ultimately sends them home packing with just the inhib, but purple team decides it's not over. They stop the recalls and choose to actually chase and leave the base 3v5 to stall them. A miniature 3v3 fight erupts, and with blue team losing it, Ashe and Jace come back to help out their team. Now we can see Ezreal in the enemy base pushing in for the win. With Ez on the inhibs, the enemy team is really feeling the pressure as purple team puts their lives on the line for the greater good of the team. They don't try to make any big plays, they don't try to get kills, they just do what's necessary to enable their Ezreal to continue pushing uninterrupted. Brand does an excellent job of stalling from the side as Varus explores the jungle for Soraka and finds her right before the recall, getting the free kill. Brand comes out a third time, this time forcing a flash as we see Varus drop and Brand shortly after, but by now they've given Ezreal enough time to get on the Nexus towers. Jace and Ashe are headed back, so Morden's didn't keep on going, but Zed comes back to life, completely melting them and shutting down their offense, and now all eyes are on Ezreal as he gets on the Nexus, and purple team looks eagerly to see if their self-sacrifice will pay off. Ashe comes in with an arrow, but he quickly arcane shifts it, and he continues on the Nexus as he drops fast, but he still manages to bring it down just as Jace arrives, winning the game for his team. For a second play, we switch our focus from a nail-biting backdoor into an amazing engage and fight for purple team. Out of nowhere, we see a hook land from Thresh, and we freeze it so you can see what's going on in his mind. He knows Maokai's running away towards the rest of his team, and Thresh quickly thinks it through. Knowing this will certainly be death for himself, he still puts his team's well-being in front of his own and goes for the Superman engage straight into a flay and huge box, entrapping all 5 members of blue team. This sets up a perfect Vi ultimate on the slow Caitlyn, which does away with the enemy ADC, as well as amazing positioning for the friendly Draven on the outside and Karthus on the inside. After the initial chaos of the engage, we slowly start to see purple team come out on top as his team picks up kills left and right, resulting in a 3-for-1 exchange. He had about 2 seconds to make up his mind on that play, and because of the sacrifice that set his team up with a 5-man box, they walk away from this play well ahead. And for a third and final play, we have an interesting clip that really shows off what a team can do with some strategy. In the beginning of this play, we see blue team pressuring Baron. We look bottom lane on the map and see a huge push and creeps for blue team that will take the tower. Now let's look a little more in depth on blue team's strategy to win this game. A few minutes before positioning at Baron, blue team sent a player down to bottom lane and created something commonly referred to as a monster wave. For example, if you go up to an even lane with 6 minions for each team battling it out and you kill one of theirs, you leave it with a 6v5. All of a sudden, we start to see your creeps win the battle as they do more damage because they have power in numbers. Let's say it's a 5v3 when another 6 minions join the battle for each side, and now it's an 11v9. As time goes on and your side starts gaining more of an advantage in numbers, it turns into a 10v6, a 13v2, and eventually what you see in this play with a 16 creep wave including 2 cannon minions hitting the tower and threatening to take it down. All of this combined with constant pressure of an engage from Zac and the threat of a sneaky Baron puts purple team in panic, and they know they have to either back off now or look for a hard engage. With the tower already at half health, purple team gets desperate and they move in too close as Zac sees his opening and readies Elastic Slingshot. Orianna immediately puts the ball on him as he leaps into the air, and we freeze it so you can see what's going on. The enemy team is grouped up and overextended because they really want an opening to go with the arrow, but they simply can't find anything. A lack of vision thanks to Sona investing in an Oracles is to blame for that. Orianna had her ball ready for Zac, using it even before he jumped to give him the shield and to ready the shockwave, and we see Lee Sin and Sona moving in fast, and in a moment we'll see her use Shurelya's for the follow-up. As we go back into the play, we see Zac land followed by a huge shockwave and Let's Bounce, and then the Shurelya's into Crescendo holds them in place so they can return to the fight to finish them off after Monsoon. Twitch comes in from the flank and falls through with his team, helping to secure the kill on Janna, and with that, they look to end the game right after without even taking Baron. There's a few things that made this play and their strategy come to life. For starters, Sona's oracles allowed them to deny vision of the Baron area, which built up so much pressure in and of itself. Orianna then used her bolt to shield Zac and scout for the enemy team's movement rather than going for the harass, so they always stayed one step ahead. Another thing to point out is no one on blue team went for anything crazy. They played with their team strategy in mind and no one tried to be the hero. And finally, to put the icing on top, the monster wave strategy. When they went bottom lane to start it, sure, they could have cleared the wave for the instant money, but instead they went team first and only killed a couple so that their strategy could really take off. All of this left the enemy team with an ultimatum and immense pressure, resulting in the big engage from Zac and the follow-up from his team. This clip really shows off why it's always best to play with your team as your #1 priority. Thanks everyone for watching, and don't forget to submit your very own team plays to us for a chance to be featured on the next episode of our Top Plays Teamwork Edition.